Welcome back, fans, to another edition of the ECHL Insider. I am your host, Garrett Hunter, and we have made it to the final week of the regular season. The regular season finale is upon us. So before we jump in, some news to get to. The Norfolk Admirals, the only team to clinch a playoff spot last week. You see them in front of me. And also big news in the hockey world as Washington Capitals captain Alex Ovechkin breaks Wayne Gretzky's goals record at 895. Scored that goal on Long Island over the New York Islanders on Sunday afternoon. Wayne Gretzky and NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman was there to witness the historic moment. Just a great story for the hockey world. Just all around, just really cool to see that. And got to give props to the Capitals, just their team, and just the support that they showed for the Great Eight when he broke the record, and also the Islanders and the sportsmanship that was showed as well. The goal came on the road, and just a lot of sportsmanship from that New York Islanders organization as well. A really cool moment to see. Well, now let's get you some critical scores from last week's game before we preview the final week of the regular season and all of the playoff scenarios. The Idaho Steelheads picked up a critical 5-2 win over the Tulsa Oilers on Sunday, tying them now for fourth place in the Mountain Division. Also, the Oilers beat the Wichita Thunder 3-1 Friday, now 1 point back of both Wichita and Idaho for the fourth and final playoff spot. We will get to that scenario later in this episode. Also, the South Carolina Stingrays, a 5-1 win over the Solar Bears on Saturday night. That has them at 15 straight wins right now, tied for the fourth longest winning streak in the ECHL history. The lead record is 23 wins, set by the Stingrays, actually. So they're chasing history right now against themselves. Pretty crazy as they will go for a Brabham Cup title this week, the regular season champion trophy. Well, now let's get to the top 5 games of the week. 5 playoff spots still to be clinched. A lot of scenarios. So let's start with game number 5, the Central Division, the Bloomington Bison and Indy Fuel on Wednesday night. And Indy is at 4 points ahead of Bloomington, which means if Bloomington loses this game on Wednesday, they are eliminated. They cannot make the playoffs with a loss on Wednesday night. So really just a critical moment for the Bison. They have to win on Wednesday to even have a chance at making the playoffs. Then they have 2 games in Fort Wayne. So really critical moment for them on Wednesday. At number 4, the Kalamazoo Wings, Wednesday and Saturday play Indy. Just crazy scheduling. Can't make this up. Could not find a more climactic way to schedule the Central Division games with Bloomington Wednesday and then Kalamazoo Friday, Saturday. They're also 4 points back of Indy. A loss of either one of these games from the Wings would have them eliminated. Also worth noting that this is a home and home. Friday will be in Indy. Saturday will be in Kalamazoo before the Wings wrap up the season on Sunday in Cincinnati. So if they can win on Friday on the road, you would expect all the Kalamazoo fans to pack that building to hopefully see their boys tie the Fuel for fourth place on Saturday night. And so it's just going to be those 3 teams really for the fourth and final playoff spot. Cincinnati not eliminated yet, but a very unlikely chance that they will get the fourth and final playoff spot. Indy, 4 points ahead. They are definitely the most likely position to get the fourth and final playoff spot, but still some work to do to beat Bloomington and Kalamazoo. At number 3, the Mountain Division playoff picture, the Wichita Thunder and Tahoe Night Monsters, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday from State Line, Nevada. This will be a critical series. Tahoe technically not clinched the playoffs yet, but very, very unlikely that they will miss the playoffs. More really about seeding right now. And it's possible that if Wichita sweeps Tahoe, not only will they make the playoffs, but they could be in the number 2 seed instead of Tahoe. Think about that. Wichita might not even make the playoffs right now. They could not only make the playoffs, but have home ice advantage in the first round, depending on all that happens this week. But so from the Wichita perspective, you got to win these games, clinch the playoffs, hopefully get the highest seed possible. Tahoe perspective, you got to clinch the playoffs. That won't be too hard. I think like 1, maybe 2 wins will do that for you. But this could be a first round playoff matchup. So you have to put your best foot forward in all 3 of these games if you want to make sure the Wichita Thunder fear you. They don't want to play you. You don't want to have a bad performance and then have to play these guys next week when it matters most in the playoffs. So, and you never know. I mean, depending on what happens, Wichita could stay in Tahoe and then play them next week for games 1 and 2 of the playoffs. They could go to Wichita and play games 1 and 2 of the playoffs. So it's all in a jungle there, just all a mess right now in the Mountain Division. We'll see what happens with that. Also in the Mountain Division, number 2, Kansas City and Idaho, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Idaho, you have to get these points to make the playoffs. Currently tied for 4th with Wichita, and Tulsa 1 point back in 5th place. So Idaho, you've put together a 5-game win streak, but it's all for naught if you don't have enough wins this weekend. And we don't even know, depending on what Wichita does and Tulsa does. Could 1 win be enough? 2 wins? Maybe you need all 3. You don't know. But you're playing the best team in the Mountain Division. Kind of unfortunate for the Steelheads. I'm sure Idaho's thinking right now, man, couldn't we have just played Allen for these last 3 games? No disrespect to the Americans, but definitely the Steelheads wish they had an easier opponent coming into their barn than the Mavericks. And from a Kansas City perspective, you want to do well in these games because if you don't, you could see Idaho in the first round of the playoffs next week. So definitely motivation for the Mavericks. You don't want to have a bad outing in these 3 games and then see this team next week in the playoffs. Idaho, they have all the motivation they need. They need these wins to even get in the playoffs. So it will be really, really fun to see as the Mountain Division shakes out. Tulsa, not in our top 5 games of the week, but they play 3 games at Allen. So obviously the easiest remaining schedule for the Oilers, but they're 1 point back in 5th place. So they need these points just as much as Wichita and Idaho. And our top game of the week, the North Division final playoff spot will be determined. The Worcester Railers and Reading Royals Friday and Saturday night. 2 points separate these teams, but that gap could be closed when these teams play on Friday. Reading has 1 extra game to play, and that is Wednesday night in Norfolk. So from a Reading perspective, you can just tie this going into the weekend if you win in Norfolk. If you don't win, your back is really up against the wall because now you're 2 points back. You have to win both games against the Railers. And, obviously the overtime loser point will come into play. All sorts of scenarios if we get into overtime with these 2 teams in that case. And then from Worcester, you get to sit on the couch, watch Reading play on Wednesday, hope they lose, and then go to Reading and play in Santander Arena against your bitter rival Friday and Saturday night. Royals definitely need that win, though, on Wednesday to get this tied before Friday. And Worcester, you got to feel for them, right? The longest playoff drought right now in the whole league. They've had their heart broken in back-to-back seasons, being eliminated on the final day of the regular season the last 2 years. They won a playoff spot as much as anyone in the league. And they have a chance, right? They control their own destiny. You win both these games, you're in. Chance that if you win one and a Reading loss Wednesday, you're in. But all sorts of scenarios happen if these games go to overtime. Well, that will do it. Hope you understand the playoff race now. Hope I did a good job explaining all of that chaos. But the chaos isn't over. Our fight of the week, a goalie fight between Evan Cormier of the Savannah Ghost Pirates and Will Cranley of the Florida Everblades. Yes, Savannah is eliminated from playoff competition, but I would give them an A+ in getting under the skin of the Florida Everblades this weekend in 2 games. Just, they had the Everblades just in a mess, just so angry, tons of penalty minutes, tons of fights, just absolute chaos, so much so that we got a goalie fight. So make sure to enjoy that and tune in next week for the 2025 Kelly Cup playoffs.
Right circle, dragging Tyson below the circles. Lidkey right goal line. Tellier, stick handling. The goal line, Davies, shoveled on net. Rebound try, stopped, and the net is off its moorings. And again, more pushing and shoving. 12:06 left in the third period. And Davies, incensed. He's got Sean Allen in a headlock. And Evan Cormier is skating to center ice. Will Cranley, the goaltender, having a word. Cormier is at his own blue line. And here comes Cranley. They're going to drop the gloves. A goaltender fight. Cormier and Cranley separated by the officials. Cranley and Cormier. Cormier takes down Cranley. Down goes Cranley. Down goes Cranley. The second goalie fight in Ghost Pirates history comes.